Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, on podcasts everywhere, Facebook Live and YouTube. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, so please do me a favor and go to YouTube, search for Talk Law Radio, look for Lady Justice with the red, white, and blue colors, and subscribe. After I get 1,000 subscribers, that unlocks some new opportunities for me to use YouTube, and that will benefit you, the listener, because I'll be able to do some extra things. Today I'm talking about changes in the law and a conference I went to where I got additional education on business and estate law. And just before the break, I was talking about the protection of a charging order as the exclusive remedy for even a single member LLC, and how time will tell whether that will succeed challenge to that law, because of the principles behind it don't support having that type of protection for a single member LLC. But I also want to get to some other things that advanced legal planning would dictate for business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives, and that would be the use of irrevocable trusts. Now, not all irrevocable trusts are the same, and so I want to explain some of the most common uses, and I can't talk about all of them. Like I said before, this could be an entire show just for this one topic. But I do want to explain some of the common uses for business management, charity, disabled beneficiaries, estate tax, inheritance plans, life insurance trusts, and qualifying for nursing home, Medicaid, or Veterans Aid and Attendance. I'm really excited about today's show, and I'm also excited that the weather changed. It's a bit cooler today. Got my jacket on, and I should have put a jacket on Lexi, but she doesn't really like to wear them. I put them on her occasionally anyway to keep her warm, or to wear something that's kind of fun. But I forgot to do that. Sorry, Lexi. And before the break, she also barked, and so I'm sorry about that. You know, wild animals you can't really control very well. But today, like I said, I'm talking about business and estate law, and irrevocable trusts are part of that. And some of the reasons you might use it is for asset protection, estate tax savings or elimination, income tax reduction, charity. And I did talk about the irrevocable life insurance trust on the bonus Sunday episode. You can find that recorded on podcasts everywhere, also talklawradio.com. So I won't talk about the irrevocable life insurance trust because I did spend a half hour on that last Sunday. So you can find that on podcasts everywhere or talklawradio.com. Also, I'm offering you something really handy because people will ask me, how much is a trust? And I ask them, well, what kind of trust do you want? And so I created this flyer that's just a list of a whole bunch of different kinds of trusts. And I'll send it to you, this flyer about trusts, if you email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST@talklawradio.com. Let's go back to the list of trusts, or the list of some common uses. You can use an irrevocable trust to be the manager of an LLC, or to be the general partner of a limited partnership. And so that would be using it in a business context. And in that way, it does help increase the durability of the structure of business. You may have heard me talk about how business protection works. I use the analogy, it's sort of like protecting your house or your home. You can have a lock on the door, you can have a storm door, you can have bars on the windows, you can have an alarm system, you can have a pit bull in the backyard, you can have an armed guard at the front door. You can have all kinds of those things, but each one of those helps to increase the level of security, right? It's the same thing with business planning. Every layer that we add also adds a layer of protection. You can also use irrevocable trusts for charity. And if you want to save your beneficiaries some income tax and you also have a charitable intent, we can combine how you leave your IRA or 401k money and your charitable intent. We combine those things. And the way that we do that is through either a charitable remainder trust or a charitable lead trust, which would be an irrevocable trust, one that you cannot change. But there are some things that you can change, like which charity you want to benefit. Trust law is kind of funny. Some things you can change, some things you can't. That's why it's best to work with an attorney that has at least double the continuing education credits every year, like me. I'm a member of the College of the State Bar of Texas, and you can look that up, or I'll explain it to you. Another type of irrevocable trust might help a disabled beneficiary who might have government benefits or not. In either case, it's sort of a special purpose type trust that describes when distributions would be made to the disabled beneficiary. Disabled beneficiaries have different needs than beneficiaries that don't have disabilities. And so you might look at that if you have a disabled child. I have some clients that their children are somewhat disadvantaged, but disabled. They're not sure whether to use that word or not. And so I have a type of trust where I can have either a supplemental needs trust or a general needs trust. And we just use that term general needs to differentiate it from the special needs, because instead of having terms that discuss distributions for disability reasons or medical reasons, most of the reasons are just subject to the discretion of the trustee, such as for health, education, maintenance, or support. And you can probably fit everything that you buy or pay for under one of those four categories. The IRS calls it an ascertainable standard. It's something that you can put a definition to. So we've talked about a trust for a business, a trust to convey your charitable intent, and a trust for disabled beneficiaries. There's also, we can use trusts if you have an estate tax problem. If the value of your estates are above the exemption, which this year is $12.92 million, then maybe an irrevocable trust would help you reduce the value of your estate so that so much of your estate is not subject to federal estate tax. Or, well, here's another thing coming down the line is at the end of 2025, that $12.92 million estate tax exemption or credit expires by operation of law. It sunsets because in 2017, when President Trump signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it was only for a defined number of years. And of course, Congress and the Senate and the President could extend and renew that, but we don't know what's going to happen. And if it does expire, then the estate tax exemption goes back to the pre-2017 amount, which was $5 million, and which is adjusted for inflation. And so we think that if it does expire in 2025, at the end of 2025, that it'll be around $6 million. So now, because the estate tax exemption amount and the gift tax exemption amount are equal, there are some planning options where you can use gifts up a lifetime of gifts up to $12.92 million this year. And if you die after 2026, then the IRS says they're going to honor and grandfather in this gift tax exclusion amount. I know that's a lot of stuff to follow, but if you're interested or if you're curious, you definitely want to talk to a lawyer about that, because you don't want to do anything on your own that would cause you to have tax consequences. Another common use for the irrevocable trust, I talked about the life insurance trust. Just search for my podcast from last week, the Irrevocable Life Insurance Trust. I talked about for half an hour. Another use is to help people qualify for nursing home Medicaid or the Veterans Aid and Attendance benefit. But there are penalties that could apply for doing that. There's a look-back period for each program, and there's a penalty that goes forward. So for Medicaid, if you set up a trust and you put your assets in there within 5 years of applying for the benefit, then Medicaid is going to penalize you by dividing the value of the gift or the transfer for less than fair market value by the average cost of nursing home care in Texas. And that gives you the number of days that Medicaid will refuse to pay benefits. That's the penalty. The VA has a similar rule, but their look back is only 3 years. And their division is a little bit different also. So you want to go with an attorney that knows Medicaid benefits or veterans benefits before you try anything like that. I once had a client who had gone to a CPA who gave them an irrevocable trust. That's a red flag, because certified public accountants are not authorized to practice law. They don't do trust law. They might do trust tax returns, but everything they do is should be with a tax lens. And the type of trust that they encourage, that this individual encouraged these clients to put their family farm into, caused a very large capital gains tax. So you want to run for the hills if you have somebody trying to sell you a trust that is not an attorney. We're about to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about family dynamics, business planning for licensed professionals, business planning for small businesses, and privacy. And also overlapping with all of that would be estate planning, because if you don't have estate planning, the business might fail. Stay tuned. Be right back.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the Ten Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.